In this video, since we're reaching the end of the year, I decided to film a year in review 2025, everything that I've done this year, what I changed in my business, what I'm going to do next year. I also include strategies that might help you moving into 2026. And this year for me was really about creating with purpose and dreaming bigger. So today I really want to share what I've accomplished this year, personally and professionally, because 2025 was the year I analyzed my branding strategy, and I picked up also a lot of hobbies along the way. And before I dive into what changed in my creative strategy, I want to start by saying this. Never stop chasing your dreams, no matter how big they seem. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf once said, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. And this year I proved that to myself. First, I want to talk about a dream that has came true, a dream that took over a decade. For the past 10 years, I had one dream, one destination sitting on the top of my travel bucket list, and that was visiting Antarctica. The idea of being in such a remote, untouched corner of the world, surrounded by nature, by wildlife, by ice, and pretty much by nothing, always fascinated me. What you have to know about me, I love animals, I love nature, I like being outdoors, and I really like exploring all these different parts of the world. And I really do love places. They just remind you of how small you are, but in the best possible way. So when I first met my husband, I always told him, one day we're going to Antarctica. And when we talked about this over the time, it wasn't really feasible for us to go there before because it's expensive, it's far, it's logistically complicated, but I always held on to this dream. Like one day I go there. And this year we finally made it happen. And even talking about it and thinking about all the memories, it almost makes me tear up because it was such an amazing journey. It was such an amazing place to visit. And I'm extremely fortunate to have done that. So in March, we ended up traveling to Antarctica. We spent about a week exploring the seventh continent. And when I tell you it was everything and more what I expected, I'm not lying. It's everything I imagined and more. They always say don't meet your heroes, but they're wrong. So we flew to Argentina, and from Argentina you go on a boat, so you go on a ship, and the ship takes you there. So there's no hotels in Antarctica. You have to live on a ship. It's like an expedition course that you do, and you have to pass the Drake Passage. The Drake Passage is known for like very rough seas, so luckily I'm very sea resistant, so I don't really get seasick, but other people got very seasick. I want to say 90% of the boat was at that time seasick. It takes about 3 days to cross this passage and to be in Antarctica, and you drive 24 hours. The ship runs 24 hours. And I remember the first day we really woke up, so we entered Antarctica in the night, and then in the morning we opened our curtains and we looked outside, and you see everything white. You're in front of this huge ice wall, and you see all this like ice floating in the water, and a little bit of snow is falling. It was absolutely magnificent. And over the time we visited different places in Antarctica, so the boat eventually goes to like different places. It really depends on the weather. The weather can shift like this in a second. One day it's super sunny and you think, wow, this looks amazing. And 2 hours later you are in the biggest storm of your life. So Antarctica is very unpredictable, hence some excursion got cancelled, or you just need to hurry up a bit more. But we ended up going hiking, we touched the continent, we also booked a kayaking as well. So we did kayaking, went kayaking, and we've seen just so much. The wildlife there is absolutely incredible. We saw whales breaching. We took out the zodiacs, and we were so fortunate that the whales were so curious that they came really close to our boat. We saw penguins jumping out of the water. We saw leopard seals resting on ice. We saw countless seabirds, all different type of seabirds, which is really crazy because I love birds. I am absolutely into bird watching. So just everything that we were able to see there was incredible. It was pure, was really wild magic. It's just the thing that you can't really script. And I'm always telling people this is some serious National Geographic stuff that we've seen there. And of course, every time you go there, it's different. But when we went there, we got really lucky seeing all these things. And at the end of the day, that trip really reminded me that dreams might take years or decades, but if you continue working towards them, they will eventually come true. So you always have to remind yourself that dreams are never out of reach. So it's really proof that you should never stop pursuing what excites you, no matter how long it takes. Because the moment you experience it, every bit of patience, every delay, every not yet becomes worth it. And at the end of the day, it's really not the goal that you're reaching, but it's your pursuit to the goal that brings happiness and that brings excitement. Also, in 2025, I decided to stop overproducing. And this might come as a shocker as a content creator. I used to post 4 YouTube videos per month, once every week. Sounded great on paper, it sounded like I'm consistent, I'm proactive, I'm cranking out content, connecting with my audience. But honestly, behind the scenes, I was so burnt out because editing started to feel like an obligation, sitting in front of the camera felt like an obligation. So things that used to be very fun for me, that I enjoyed, all of a sudden felt like a chore. And I was also investing so much time in editing, constantly cranking out content, that I wasn't able to improve my content, but I also didn't have time to do anything else. So I took a step back, but more importantly, I took a deep breath. I analyzed everything, what I'm doing, what I'm putting out there, and I ended up cutting my uploads to 2 videos per month. And just that single transformation changed my entire strategy completely. All of a sudden, I had time to experiment with editing, so color correction, storytelling, pacing. I learned how to make talking head videos more interesting. Well, at least I hope I did. And I also used overlays, animations, sound effect, text animations, just to keep the viewer more engaged. And this shift also allowed me to focus on other parts of building my personal brand. So creating more TikTok videos, recreating trends, but also leaning into things that also bring joy to my life. And one of those things is photography. So that's why I decided to open up an Instagram account solely for photography. Before, I was pretty much jumping from video to video, crafting ideas, what can I film next? But now that I had a little bit more time on my hands, because I only put out 2 videos per month, this extra time helped me to dive into parts of content creation I always loved, but never had space to really explore. So I decided to upgrade my entire gear. New camera lenses. I learned new editing techniques. I refined how I film and how I color grade. I started treating every video as a story and not just a format or just not content because I have to put it out there. And my background in photography really became my secret weapon. Because it's really through photography I learned how to see things differently, to see the light differently, to see colors better, to see textures, and to understand how to create a mood by really looking at the picture and how do you create emotions with video content or with a single image. What can you do to really evoke an emotion? What I applied to all these photos, I took that same level of enthusiasm to my videos. So that means better lighting, better video animations, better arrangements, and it really helped me to tighten up my entire strategy, my entire video strategy. And also it's a different level of intention. And that intention made me fall back in love with creating content. What I did, I really had to find the creative balance between quality and quantity. And I chose quality over quantity. Also, this year taught me something that most creators don't really talk about, and that sometimes less is really more. Reducing my output didn't hurt my creativity, it didn't hurt my brand, it didn't hurt my personal brand, but it rather amplified it. I had time to better plan, to film with purpose, to create content that really hits the mark. And when you do that, you realize something very powerful. It's not about posting more content, it's about posting better content. As I said it before, I used to post 1 video per week, not just 1 video, but also 1 podcast per week, trying to crank out as much social media content as possible. And my videos used to be 40-45 minutes long because I thought the longer the videos, the better engagement I will get, the better I'll be seen as a industry leader, as an expert, and that is all just BS. it's not about the length of your video. It's about how value-packed it is. It's about when someone consumes your video, do they walk away thinking, oh, I learned something, or hey, this is a quick tip I can implement today. And especially when you have a full-time job like me and then trying to build your personal brand and your business on the side, you realize that time is really of the essence. I also adjusted the length of my videos, so now they're anywhere between 5 to 20 minutes, and I usually find 10 minutes a really good length for a video because it gives you enough time for me to convey information, to provide value, but also keep it short enough to continue to be engaging. My videos became tighter, my stories became clearer, and my visuals became stronger. So I really focused on the human element, so emotions, relatability, and authenticity, rather than just publishing as many videos as possible. This year, I also rediscovered my joy for photography. Refining my content strategy more gave me space to explore other things that I like and to really connect and reconnect with things that bring me joy outside of my work. And one of those things was photography. I always loved photography. It actually started when I had a fashion blog, taking photos of myself, taking photos of products, and really leaning into the whole photography. So photography is something that I always liked. I even worked for a place where I took product photography, I edited them to put them on the website and social media. So my whole career started in, or was at least always well connected to photography. And this year it evolved even more into something entirely new. So as I said before, I updated my gear and I really leaned into macro photography. So I bought a few lenses to really capture nature's beauty, I want to say. So I really discovered the love for really small items, so macro photography. That is something when you take a very close up of a plant, of an insect, and you find details that your eye otherwise wouldn't see. So that is one part that I really enjoyed. And then on the other side, I really enjoy bird photography or bird watching. I'm always fascinated by all types of animals, but birds especially, because when they fly by and you look at them, you might think, oh, it's a bird. But once you capture them and you get a close-up of a bird, you understand all these intricate details of a bird. It's crazy. So all the feathers, the color changes, and I'm really impressed of what nature is able to create. On the weekends, me and my husband are now going to parks, we're going to natural reserves, we are looking places up that are around the LA area that are more bird friendly, where we can potentially capture birds. And being out in nature is just really the complete opposite of what I do in my day-to-day life as a CMO. My job is very fast-paced, it's analytical, it has deadlines, it's full of strategy. And photography, on the other hand, it really slows things down. It forces you to be much slower, to be present in the moment, and to be intentional. So through photography, I really discovered a new kind of creativity, one that's not tied to metrics or performance. And it reminded me that art doesn't always have to serve a purpose. Sometimes it just needs to exist. So my husband was the one who encouraged me to open up a second Instagram account, and I named it Blondie Captures. You can check it out. I post all my wildlife photography on this account to share it with my fellow, whether it's bird watching enthusiasts or people who just enjoy photography. Photography also has taught me to really appreciate the smallest things. So the way the light hits a leaf, or the symmetry of a flower, or the stillness of a bird perched on a branch. It really helped me to understand that there's beauty everywhere if you slow down long enough to notice it. And then what am I taking into 2026? Going into 2026, I want to take everything I learned this year, the patience, the experimentation, and the focus, and continue to build on it. Definitely want to keep improving my craft, whether this is picking up new filming techniques or exploring better storytelling formats, or in general just how can you make content more engaging. Definitely want to stay authentic, and most importantly, I want to keep chasing dreams that just scare me a little, because that's how I know I'm growing. If I learned one thing this year, it's that creativity thrives when you stop forcing it. When you give yourself the permission to create less, you actually create more. 2025 reminded me that slowing down isn't falling behind and isn't failing your business. is just making space for the next big leap, and it provides space to really rethink your strategy. So here's to 2026, the year of intentional creativity, bold ideas, and chasing dreams that feel too big until they're not. I cannot wait to see you next year. I wish you all the best for 2026, and I hope that your year was as exciting as mine. So thank you for tuning in this entire year, consuming my content. I cannot wait to see you in my next video and next year. Until then, goodbye, or how we say in Germany, auf Wiedersehen.